Welcome back. In 2018, this one person decided to go shoot up a school with a rifle, high-powered rifle, killing 17 and wounding others. What was unique about this one case was this person decided to, I guess not decided, but decided not to end their own life, and in the process of being arrested, did not have their life ended. So at the time, it was rare to have a mass shooter actually go to trial. So we have this kind of unique situation starting up, and a lot of different opinions being flung out there of how the jurors and the judge, etc., should be treating this case. Well, of course, the families were calling for justice, and the justice many or all of them wanted was the death penalty. However, in this particular case, a unanimous decision was needed to do the death penalty, and that was not reached, causing this person to have their sentence be life in jail without any parole. Obviously, he's not getting out. However, this upset a lot of people, of course, and they tried to, get the sentence readjusted and maybe death sentence, et cetera, but in the end, the jurors did think that the mental health aspect of the defense was strong enough to not warrant the capital punishment. And that's basically the story of this Parkland shooting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tragic stuff, but you're right. It is significant because the shooter is still alive. Mm-hmm. And I've got to say, I wish we could get a bit more news on him. Mm-hmm. I really want them to study him. I suppose one person does not make a rule, but certainly from a psychological perspective, we don't know that much about why people do this, because they usually kill themselves. So now we've got him, and he's in prison for the rest of his life. I assume he won't be that busy. So I hope he goes through some pretty intensive psych evaluation, and maybe we can come to some conclusions about motivations, causes, background, and help us understand how to prevent this better in the future.
I just imagine that in whatever many years, there's going to be a Netflix documentary on him. And I hope that doesn't happen. Just in the news.
Unless it teaches us something useful about
hope so.
How to prevent school shootings.
Hopefully that's an article, the sort of fascination with mass murderers.
Oh, I see. Mm-hmm. You're referring to the recent Dahmer documentary popularity.
Do you think that the sentencing of this individual, was fair?
Well, it went to trial. The jury heard all the evidence, which I have not heard. Mm-hmm. So I have to say I hope the justice system works. I have to trust it to the best of my knowledge. It worked fine, and they came to the decision they came to, and that's what we have decided as a society is fair.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's hard I don't know how to comment on it when I've not heard all the evidence that the jurors have heard. So.
Well, I think you bring up a good point. We as a society have agreed to certain ways of sentencing people. And during that sentencing, this happened. And if we don't agree with that as a majority, then we can try to change it. But as for this person, it was not changed. Mm-hmm. It's just like, some drugs in the U.S. have been made legal, and those people who were sentenced while it was illegal are still in jail. And that was because at the time we agreed as a society that it was illegal. Mm-hmm. So, although we can debate that at a later time, I'm sure. Mm-hmm.
Perhaps if we change the question, it would be more appropriate. Do you think that someone who committed this kind of crime should receive the death penalty regardless of mental health issues?
For me, see, that's a question I've been rolling around in my head for many years, not just now. And in the end, we have to take everything into account. And you can't just blatantly say the death penalty should be happening for everyone who has done X, Y, and Z. There are always details of something, and that's why we have judges and jurors to decide whether these details are important or not, and then what to do with them in the end. Now, do I agree with the entire US legal system? No. There's absolutely improvements that can happen. However, we have to stick with what we stuck with what we decided in the end, yeah. Would I vote for death penalty? That would be very difficult. I don't know. I don't know.
Because again, I'm just speculating here, but what could have happened in this case is that the jurors who didn't choose the death penalty, it may have been down to their personal principles that, you know, some people, such as myself, believe if you live in a society that doesn't accept killing, then you cannot kill anyone. That to set a good example, to set the standard, killing people is wrong. So, yeah, it could have been me. I don't know, but I could have ended up voting with my conscience in that way and saying, I just won't convict someone to death.
Yeah. It reminds me of that movie, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, where he's the only one person that's against convicting someone. And all the jurors are trying to bully him to go on his side, and he sticks it out. Interesting story, probably way out of date now. But it was made in like the 1950s or 60s or something.
That
so
long ago.
yeah, way out of date, but still same concept. Well, let's go ahead and look at the concepts of the vocabulary, try to learn them as best as possible, and we'll see you in the next article. Bye.
Massacre.
Massacre.
Anomaly.
Anomaly.
Stoic.
Stoic.
Unanimous.
Unanimous.
Pundit.
Pundit.